Recording in progress, very well. And I'm letting one more person in. So there are 23 already. I see that you've been working in the meantime, Vicky. Well done. Okay. And now I would like to activate the live streaming on Facebook. So, so that we have this live stream session. While the live streaming takes place on Facebook, I also invite those participants who are on Facebook to join us in the main room. Yes, I provide them with the link. Those participants. Okay, so now no double voice. I have muted the other version. Okay, and we are ready to get started. Exactly 2030. I would like to welcome, first of all, Vicky, who is an expert in the area of dyslexia. And I'm one of us who is very happy to be inspired by a teacher who really knows something about it and who specializes in teaching English to students with dyslexia. And moreover, who has also developed an innovative teaching method, which is based on multisensory education. That is also the area that I am personally really interested in. I believe in the power of visual communication and using all senses. So I can't wait until I'm inspired by Vicky. Vicky is a graduate of the National Kapodistrian University of Athens, quite a difficult name for a Polish person. As a postgraduate, she specialized in pedagogy from the University of West Attica. And since August 22, she has been a doctoral candidate at the University of Delaware in the USA. So you can already see this international mix in her approach to language teaching. International mix is also confirmed by Vicky's participation in conferences, not only throughout Greece, but also abroad. And by her giving lectures aimed at informing and raising awareness among parents and educators, so us, about dyslexia. So unveil dyslexia for us, dear Vicky. Over to you.
Thank you very much for this introduction. I am very flattered. Thank you very much. As you already said, I am an English teacher. I work and live in Athens, in Greece. I have a great interest in teaching students with dyslexia. It is a purpose of life for me. And it is an area that a lot of colleagues say that they need to get informed because a lot of students nowadays are diagnosed with dyslexia. A few things about me, as already said, I have studied in Athens, Greece, at University of Athens. My first degree is in Greek language. However, as I was a student at the university, I realized that I love English language. So I decided to work as an English teacher too. Since 2008, I have started working in different kinds of language schools in Greece. And in 2009, I started some seminars in order to update my methodology teaching and become more updated in this area. In 2014, I had my first seminar regarding teaching English to students with dyslexia. And in 2017, I had a greater, an annual seminar, which was very, very useful because we had the chance to see students face to face and recognize characteristics and try to make a diagnosis and an intervention program in order to help them. So all the theoretical basis that we have learned was put into practice and was very useful for us. So in 2018, I started my master in University of West Attica in order to improve my knowledge. And it was the time that I decided that I want to create a house, a home for students with dyslexia in order to learn English more effectively. So in 2020, I created my own language school in Peristeri, who is specially designed to teach students with dyslexia and typical students, as we say, together in class in an inclusive way of teaching. I also started my PhD recently, and one more very, very important thing for Greece, I guess, is that recently we have signed, and now we are creating the first book, English book, that teachers can use in classrooms in order to teach students with dyslexia. It is specially designed. It is based on my innovative method, and it will be in September will be ready for students to use them, for teachers to use them in their classrooms in order to help students become more to learn effectively, more effectively. So today our presentation has this, we are going to talk about specific learning difficulties and what is dyslexia. We are also going to see what are the characteristics we can see as students. We can see to our students the psychological factors that affect students who are diagnosed with dyslexia. We are going to have a small workshop, so I would ask you to have a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, because we are going to need it. And we are going to talk about some teaching techniques that I am using in my school, that I have seen that they are very effective with students, and we are going to see some ideas that you can use. Oops. First of all, let's see what is the term specific learning difficulties. We use this term because we want to make a distinction between specific learning difficulties and general learning difficulties. There is a great difference between these two categories, as we say, because when we talk about general learning difficulties, we talk about students that have their intelligence is below normal. So we talk about students that are mentally disabled, as we say, and so they cannot learn generally. When we talk about specific learning difficulties, we talk about students that have intelligence above normal and over that. So we don't talk about students that are stupid, as some may think or they have heard talking about. We talk about students that they are very good at other skills, but they lack some abilities in learning how to read and write properly. The term specific learning difficulties is a term umbrella, as we say, because underneath that, there are some subcategories. It is dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, and specific learning difficulties that are not specific. We cannot place a student specifically in one of the above categories, so we say that it has specific learning difficulties. Most of you may know about dyslexia. You may have heard about dyslexia because it is the term which is more widely, broadly widespread. Dyscalculia is one learning difficulty that many of us don't know about a lot, and it is also very common. Dyscalculia is a difficulty in learning maths and whatever has to do with maths. So we talk about students that have difficulties in learning the multiplication table or solving problems in maths, or difficulties in recognizing the symbols, plus, equals, and all this that has to do with maths. Dysgraphia is a difficulty in writing. We talk about people who have difficulties in writing properly. We can see a piece of paper that is written, it is written and then it is erased and then it is written again. And we talk about students that the letters are not very legible. We cannot understand what they have written. We talk about difficulties in staying inside the line. They usually go up or they fly up or they go below the line. So we have a piece of writing that is not very neat. and it's not legible. Dyslexia, I guess it's the most commonly known, but dysgraphia sometimes coexists with dyslexia, many times coexists, and you can see that students with dyslexia also have dysgraphia, and their writing is not very good. You cannot read their letters very well. They are not very well formed. So now we are here to talk about dyslexia, as it is as we said, is one of the most commonly known and the most widespread across the global. As many of you may know, it's an innate neurological disorder. It is something that the child is born with. It's not something that is created by other factors. It is something that is it is a malfunction of the brain, which is created while the fetus is still in its mother uterus. The baby is born with that. It depends, the environment the child is going to go on and grow up affects how this thing is going to be, how the child is going to have a life, if it's going to be an easy life or a difficult life. Because if we give them the appropriate education, we can help them have a life easier and help their life to become better. So the most common definition that most researchers give is that dyslexia is a difficulty of reading and writing, despite the normal intelligence, good vision, hearing, and appropriate education. What do we mean by that? In Greece, usually a student is sent to make a diagnosis in third grade, because we need first to establish mother tongue, to be sure that he has already an appropriate education. He has gone to kindergarten, and then first grade, and then second grade, and we have given them the time to mature, because some student needs more time than others. So after that, we say that if a child still has difficulties in reading and writing despite their age, then it is sent to a center to make some tests. The first test that they do there is intelligence, an IQ test, because we need to know if the student has a normal intelligence or it's below normal. Because if it is below normal, then we talk about general learning difficulties. This child has generally difficulties in learning. On the other hand, if its intelligence is above normal, then we talk about specific learning difficulties, that this child has some skills that needs more practice, more time to establish. One more thing that we need to examine is that this child listens, and he listens and he can see and listen well, because as many children have different kinds of illnesses during childhood, some of them may cause some impairment and something that the parents might not have understand, that the child does not hear very well. So we have to establish that everything is normal biologically, and then we have to find out what other is going on, and this child still cannot read and write properly. Dyslexia is a learning difficulty, as we said, that affects 10% globally. Most research shows 10% of school-age population. If you think that this is a very small amount, if we gathered all dyslexic in one continent, then all Europe would be covered with dyslexic students. And if you add all the students that haven't been diagnosed for different kinds of reasons, such as economical or social, because some parents don't want to have their children checked for some reasons, then the research says that the percentage is 25% globally, which means America and Europe together are dyslexic among the global. We mean about, it's a great percentage of students that are affected. So our job as teachers is very important to understand and help those students. A great percentage of students with dyslexia are also diagnosed with ADHD, which means that a lot of students also have difficulties on their attention, and this also causes problem in their learning a language. Either we talk about mother tongue or a foreign language as English. So as teachers, we need to be able to recognize those characteristics and help our students. Of course, we're not here to make a diagnosis because we are not specialized in that kind of field. There are specialists that can do that, but we can help students, either if they are diagnosed or not, to make their lives easier. And this can be by knowledge. Knowledge is a powerful weapon. So if we know what we are going to face, then we are going to be more ready to help those students. Some characteristics, I have made 4 general characteristics, and then we are going to talk about them more elaborately. As we already know, students with dyslexia have difficulties in reading and writing. They are behind their normal age and the other students of their age. What most students might not know is that those students have poor working memory. What is the working memory? The working memory is the memory we are using now in order to listen and make some notes. It is a very, this memory lasts for seconds, just some seconds, and then whatever we have heard goes to short-term memory and then to long-term memory. If a typical student who hasn't been diagnosed at the age of 8 has working memory 7, which means that he can remember 7 things that he had heard, a student with dyslexia has 3, which means that if you say 7 things in your classroom, this child will only remember 3. There is a great danger that 4 of these things won't reach its brain because his memory is very short. So we need to keep in mind that these students face great difficulties in this field. So this is what causes most of the problems, because they cannot remember things. And you might think that he doesn't listen to you, but the truth is that he has listened, but it hasn't reached its brain. So this is a very important factor to remember, and use your teaching in a way to improve this difficulty, to make some adjustment for that. They also have difficulties in spatial coordination. They don't recognize left, right. We will see more in the future, and this affects their writing, because writing has to do with coordination. Also, they have difficulties in organization. They cannot organize their time and space, so they need help from us to organize their time and their study, maybe. All these are in a greater or a lower degree, depending on the student, because each student is unique, but they are the most commonly characteristics that we can see. Now, about reading, I don't know about reading. Okay, we can see that those students read very slowly, and their intonation, there is no intonation. So if you don't have the text in front of you when they are reading, you cannot understand what they are saying, because they don't stop, they don't use the correct intonation. So their reading is it's very confusing. Also, they sometimes guess a word because they see the first letter and they guess the word, but they don't read it. And this makes their comprehension even worse. They don't understand what they read because the word that they are using, it's not the correct one. they also, when they read, they lose their line. They don't know, they start reading the first line and then they skip the second and they may go to the third and then they realize what they have done and they start again. This takes them time to read, and this affects also comprehension because they don't remember what they have read. When they have to read words, words that they are not very frequently used are very difficult for them to read, and also multisyllabic words also are difficult for them to read. So their reading is very confusing and very slow. You see, they need a lot of time to finish reading, especially as levels grow up and the texts are getting bigger and bigger. Regarding spelling and writing, they are making a lot of mistakes. They have a lot of spelling mistakes in their writings. They may omit letters or add others that they are not there. They may have some reversals, use some words that they are not correctly. The CK, they may write K and then C. They may substitute some letters and use some others. And mirror writing is like you are using a mirror and they are writing on the reverse. You can see that their writing is reverse. The most common characteristic is the mistakes. They do a lot of mistakes. So when a student is diagnosed with dyslexia, the most common accommodation that we do as teachers is to ignore some mistakes and help them focus on commonly seen words, such as and. You cannot accept and be incorrect, but if there is the word, I don't know, accommodation, okay, you can accept it if it is not written in very correctly. We are going to talk about techniques later. Now, other characteristics, comprehension. Due to their poor working memory, because they don't remember what they have read, when they finish the first paragraph, they may not know what they have read. If you ask them, okay, what does it say? They may say, I don't know, because they really don't know, because they need time to reread it again in order to be sure. So there are some techniques to help them about that. But really, comprehension is a great problem to most of the students with diagnosed with dyslexia. Also, listening skills, they are also affected by that, because if you have to do a fill in the gap exercise, their working memory is poor. So when they listen, they have to remember the word they have listened and remember how it is written. And it's very difficult and complex for these students to ask them complete tasks that have to do with filling the gaps listening tasks, because it is very there are too many information that they need to remember and use, and their working memory is very poor, as we said. Also, coordination, as we say, coordination is they have also difficulties there because they cannot distinguish left, right, up, down. So as writing has to do with coordination, we write from one side to the other and from up to down. Some students write down to up, so they need more time to write. So we need to keep these, when we ask them to copy something, give them more time, because they really need more time to do that. Now, the psychological factors that affect those students. As teachers, first of all, should be their psychologists. Those students have very low self-esteem. Most students that come to my center says, Miss, I am useless. I cannot learn English. I cannot learn Greek. I'm useless. Okay, so don't worry about me. I won't make it. We first need to boost their self-esteem and tell them that they can do it. I will stop just for a second and tell you a personal story about how I decided to get involved and teach students with dyslexia. It was back when I was a teenage girl that my little brother, my youngest brother, was at the 3rd grade of school and was suffering from headaches. It was severe headache, so my mother decided to take him to the hospital. So the doctors had done some exams, but they didn't find anything biological that caused the headache. So it was the time of the psychologist to see if something was wrong with our family. Perhaps something was stressful about him. And then after the examination, he called my mom and to his office and tell her, "Don't worry, your son, it's everything okay, but he has dyslexia." And my mother asked him, "Is he going to die?" Because we were back in 1996 and the term dyslexia was unknown in Greek. So in Greece, there weren't people knowing about that. So we didn't know what to do with him. So I was very affected by the terrible anxiety that my brother was suffering during school. So I decided that when I grow up, I want to do something for those children. I want to do something not to suffer like my brother. So this was, I was only 15 and I was already determined that I am going to find a way. And I think that I have found something to help them. And I'm very happy because they suffer greatly. They feel same. They don't want to take part in school activities, and be careful because school and classroom is their social life. They feel that they are outside this circle. So those students who are diagnosed with dyslexia, sometimes they have difficulties in coordination. They are not very good at football, playing games that has to do with teams. So these students not only suffer and not only go away from school activities, but also from activities that has to do with sports that are taking place at school. So these students usually don't want to have a social life at school. And if the research has shown that if we don't make an intervention, then those students in later years, teenager years, may suffer from depression, and a smaller percent of these teenagers may be part of teenage gangs who are going outside and having some legal activities because they want to feel part of a team, because everybody wants to feel part of a team. And as school has, they are outcasters, they try to find something that they fit in. So as teachers, it is very important to make them feel welcomed and make them feel that they are part of a family, part of a team. So I believe that this is very important for us to have empathy as teachers. That is why it is time for our workshop. Please, I want you to take a piece of paper and a pen, because we need to feel how it is to be a dyslexic. So take a piece of paper and turn it vertically. You take a pen or a pencil and you keep it with the hand that you don't normally write. The other hand, you have to use the other hand, not your good hand, the other hand. I will explain why later. Now, I will show you a text and I want you to copy it, but you won't copy it as you see it. You will make some replacements. I don't want you to note them down. You have to remember or use your working memory. Okay, so wherever there is E, put plus. Wherever there is A, put question mark. And wherever there is O, put equals. Okay, so I will give you 3 minutes to copy the following text. Please remember that you have to use the other hand that you normally write. You have to replace E with plus, A with question mark, and O with equals. Ready? Start. I'm telling you that you have to use the other hand and do the things that I have told you. And be careful, you have only 3 minutes, and then I will erase the board. Okay, because I need to go on with my teaching. I cannot wait for you, my students.
For letter E, give a plus. For A, question mark. For O, equals.
Yes. I think it's not very easy. It's not very easy to be dyslexic, and you have to copy something. You have 1 more minute to finish, because I will erase then the board. Okay, put your pencils down, please. Oh, sorry. And this is the answer if anyone has. I will ask some questions, so I will open the. I see that you are using some notes. Anyway, so how many of you completed the task? Is there anyone there that has completed the task? So let's type yes to see if anyone has completed. Okay. Is there anyone? No, I guess. Okay. Okay. So if you have written something, was it correctly? The sentence. Okay, someone says yes. Okay. No, okay. I see someone says, okay, what was the difficult thing for you? Was it your hand, the replacements that you have to make? What was the most difficult for you? We use the other hand, everything. Okay. Replacement. Okay, the reason that I have asked you to write with the other hand is because, as I already told you, the students with dyslexia also have dysgraphia, which means they cannot grab the pencil correctly and they have difficulties in writing. Also, you should have remembered all these things, because writing is just what we did now. It's symbols. This is what a normal dyslexic student faces every day at school, because he has to remember what he has seen and copy it. And it is very difficult to remember the symbols he has seen, because I guess if I ask you, you were looking again and again at the screen to see the word. But if I was asking you, write just, my name is Maria, you would write it very easily. But now you had to look at it again and again. And this is what is happening. What is happening when you are dyslexic? You have difficulties remember writing, remember what you have seen, and then just copy it. And you say, why? It is just copy. It's not so difficult. Yes, it is so difficult for them, it's not easy at all. So thank you very much for taking part in this little experiment that I did, because I wanted to show that it is not very good and you don't feel very well. You feel awful, I guess. It is a stressful, painful situation that students have to face every day at school, 6 hours, 7 hours, depending on their program, and they have to do it again and again. This is why my little brother was at hospital. This is why a lot of students don't want to go to school. They have, they hate school because they face this kind of difficulties every day. So this is where we step in as teachers and try to help those students with some teaching techniques, some very simple things that I have noticed as a teacher, 20 years that I have been teaching, and as a researcher that I have read, and I have found some ways in order to help my students, and maybe if some of you can help your students too, in order to make their lives easier. Most of the students, most of the teachers, when they come to my seminars, they ask me, okay, if I have a private lesson, I am tutoring somebody, it's face-to-face, so I can make a lot of things that help them. What happens if I have a class and I have 2 students or 3 that are dyslexic and more students than they are typical students, as we say? What can I do then? I say, and this is what I do, I have to teach the whole class as if they were all dyslexic. Because if you teach them in this way, then the benefits are great for typical students too. Research has shown that multisensory method is a method that helps students learn either they are dyslexic or not. It is a better way because we give stimuli to more than one senses. So the brain gets stimuli, multiple stimuli, and so this is a way that the brain learns, because it gets the same information by different ways, by different nerves. So it is better for them to establish something in their memory. Also, scaffolding, like a building, we start from the basement and then we go step by step, and we teach students step by step. So if, for instance, we have to teach present simple, we don't use present simple, affirmative, negative, and question all together. So we first teach how is the present simple formed in affirmative, and then we talk about question and negative that has to do with do and does, and it's something new for them. So step by step, we build knowledge and repetition as much as we can. And this is, as I said, very useful for typical students too, because when you revise, then you are sure that they have learned. More things that we can say about them. Reading techniques. What can we do about reading? We can, first of all, we can pre-taught the unknown words of a text. We can show them what they mean. We can have small piece of papers where we can have flashcards if there are, or we can create our own piece of paper with the words and what they mean in their mother tongue. We need to use their mother tongue to teach them the vocabulary, because they have difficulties also there. So we cannot teach English and teach them a word with an English definition. We need Greek and English, English and Polish, whatever word, whatever language is their mother tongue. They need to have access to their to this vocabulary when they are reading, because if they lose some of the time trying to remember what the word means, then they will lose their comprehension. So in order to improve comprehension, we need to provide them with the unknown words ready to see and understand the meaning. We also need to have some techniques before we read. We can read the title and ask them what they think they're going to read. This is the prediction technique that a lot of students with dyslexia cannot do if we don't ask them. They need our help. Also, we can help them find the words, the unknown words we have taught in the text, underline them in order to be able to recognize where they have an unknown word. Also, we can do that with keywords, important information that we need for our exercises. If it is a kind of text that it can provide for that, we can also enrich the text with pictures, because the visual aids help them very much. Of course, if we are lucky and the books we use are available in videos, or in we can enrich the video with listening activity, we can also ask them to read and listen, because this helps them a lot. Because, as we said, we have two different ways of giving the brain the same information. Also, we can help them by letting them use rulers, because, as we say, they lose their line. If they have a ruler, they can keep themselves in the correct line and not lose the line as they as they read. They put the ruler just a line lower, so they don't lose their line. And because as many researches have shown that students with dyslexia have they are affected by the contrast, black and white causes by the books, we can allow them to have some overlays, colored overlays, that they can use and put them in front of the book in order to eliminate this contrast and help them read better. Of course, when we have bigger text, when we talk about levels which are B1, and the texts are 1 or 2 pages, then we should stop after each paragraph and help students understand, ask them some questions, what they have read, what did they understand, because sometimes they don't understand. So this is where we need to help them find the most important key information from the text in order to be able to understand what they have read. Now, about spelling and dictation. Usually, here in Greece, I don't know what is happening outside Greece, the books that we are using are not, they don't care about the phonological awareness of students. And those students need great effort on that. So if you have to teach the alphabet and you can't choose a way to do that, you should choose to teach the phonological awareness to teach phonologically the alphabet. And first you need to teach the vowels and then the consonants. This is what the research in America that my innovative material that I am using is based on. It says that we need to teach the vowels, the short vowels, and then we need to teach the consonants that are similar from the target language and mother tongue first. E.g., in Greece, we have T, it's the same stuff, but Q, it is a letter that in Greek we don't have it as a grapheme. So this is something that I leave at the end of the alphabet. It's not something that I teach students from the beginning. So because it's not, they don't resemble each other. And then we go with vowels, long vowels, and then we have the graphs and all these. This is a way of teaching that helps students recognize the letters and not just learn them by heart and not know what they are reading. Also, later, when we have to teach vocabulary, we try to teach them in symbiotic groups. For instance, all farm animals, or I don't know, buildings. Try to teach vocabulary that is related in order for students to remember their meaning better. We try to use wooden letters, as I have shown you to my previous slide, letters of that are for Scrabble, the known game, a well-known game, and maybe some like this one, this picture. I ask my students to write words in the sand because they have a kinesthetic exercise, and kinesthetic helps a lot because students write, so they have the visual aid, and also they listen to the word because I tell them to read it, and then they do it, so the brain learns better. If they will have words that have difficulty, for instance, the word night, which has DH, which is not, you cannot listen to it. I tell my student to have a marker and maybe color it in order to remember that there is something they need to be careful, because it is not, you cannot hear it, but it is there. So you need to be careful that you have to remember something that you cannot hear, but you have to write it when you write dictation. The vocabulary that you are teaching shouldn't be more than 8 words, because as I told you, their memory is very poor. So if you try to tell them at least at the first stages of learning, that they have to know for the next time to write dictation 10 words, they won't be able to learn them. You can ask them to know what they mean. You can say, you have 10 words, so I want you to know what they mean, but I will ask you to write 6 or 8. This is a typical number that a dyslexic student at the age of 8 can remember. This number gradually becomes a bit bigger as the student goes on, because all the abilities of the student get even better. So when you go at when you have a student who is 10 years old, then of course you can ask them to write 10 words. But I have seen that a student with dyslexia cannot remember more than 15 words. I mean, adult students or students with at the age of 15, they can remember how to write correctly. Maximum of they can remember maximum 15 words. Yes, this is the number, because they have a small capacity of memory. So we need to be careful to give them to have more lessons and fewer words each time. Of course, you can have some cards, their personal cards in classroom, when they can write the words that they have learned, and frequently play some games. You can play a different kind of games in order to have a small revision in class, because as I told you, repetition is very important. Now, regarding grammar, you should teach them directly, not ask them to guess the rule. They cannot understand the rule. So you have to teach the rule and then give them plenty of exercise, plenty of examples, and personalize, if it is possible, what they have learned. For instance, if you are teaching present continuous, you can ask them to get up, start walking in the class, and tell them we are walking. So in this way, you are showing that present continuous is used for something we are doing now. We are walking, so now we are walking, and now we are going to have lesson. You are using examples for them to understand something, to understand grammar, not just to learn it. As I already told you, we go step by step. We have kinesthetic learning. Sorry, I need some water. Kinesthetic learning, as I already told you, you can ask them to get up, do some exercises, and some post-it exercise. You can have post-it, small piece of papers to do some exercises. Here I have some piece of paper that I have written "it goes," for instance, and I have a different piece of paper that I have the auxiliary verb does. So when I put does, it goes, I take off the clip, so the student remembers that when we have does, the verb does not have es at the end of it. Games. I have created this Jenga game. I have written different verbs in infinitive. It is written in infinitive. And I separate class in 2 teams, and I ask them to play Jenga. So they have to take a piece and put it up on the tower, but before they put it, they have to tell me this verb in the tense that we are doing. For instance, it can be past simple, or it can be past continuous, or present continuous. So we can exercise the formation of a different kind of tenses in a very playful way, which is very important for the students to feel that they have something interesting to do. I just want to finish with something very positive, because I have been living with a dyslexic brother, and later my two children also were diagnosed with dyslexia. So I have been blessed to be with dyslexic in my whole life. And I believe that this is not, it shouldn't be considered as a disadvantage, but as a great advantage, because dyslexic students see the word in a different way than we can say it. Now, I'm going to finish with one more test. You're not going to write, so don't worry. I will show you just a picture, and I want you to tell me what you can see. So I will ask chat. Please write what you can see here. If you can see anything. Glacier, yes, this is the most common. Water ice, okay. Rocks, maybe, okay. Any other ideas? Fossils, okay. Okay, turtle, desert, okay. I will give you some time. Ice, desert landscape, okay. Landscape, dry land. These are the usual answers that I get for this exercise. Water, space, okay. Land with holes. Map, prehistoric wall painting. Okay. Okay, let's okay. So okay. Sorry. Okay. I guess, can you see now what it's there? Now, can anyone see the cow? Okay, yes, it is a cow. And when I saw this picture to my brother, he told me, okay, here is a cow. I said, where is it? I cannot see it, but yes, dyslexic can put, they have a different way of using their brain. They can see things that we cannot see. So we need to keep that in mind, and remember that our students have endless possibilities, and it depends in our way of teaching to help them explore those possibilities and become better and improve their life and make their life better and easier. Thank you very much. These are my contact information if you want to ask me anything. It's my Facebook account, Instagram, and my personal email. Thank you very much. I don't know if you want to ask something. We have some time.
If you would like to say something directly to Vicky, you are more than welcome. All I can say right now is I'm very impressed, and I would like you to notice this was the first webinar that you held for IATEFL Poland, and there were almost 50 participants. So the problem is really exists, and it is one of the issues that we will have to solve with a little help from experts in this area, just like you. Yes. So and also I hope that we will continue our cooperation in the next academic year. After the webinar, I will send you a message about it, because I'm already in the process of planning 23 by 24 series, just to let people know what is new in this area. Yes, we need to be updated by people like you. So thank you very much.
I will be very happy. And really, as I told you, I have been living with dyslexic for all my life. And this is something that I think that if we know how to help these students, then they are brilliant. They can be amazing people, but we need to stand there for them and help them learn in their way, because they can learn, but they need a special way, a different way, a more friendly way for them. So I will be happy to meet you again and talk about that in the future.
Yes, create this situation in which they trust us. Yes,
yes,
they trust
exactly.
us, and then they open up. There is a question here.
Okay.
Can we please get the slides via emails? How is it? How is the situation with the slides?
I cannot send you the situation, the slides, but I can send you the information regarding the characteristics and all the techniques in a PowerPoint, in a PDF, and you can share it to whoever wants to have it written.
Okay, so let's do it this way. Okay, thank you very much. So everybody has heard it. Everybody knows about it. I have already provided the certificate in the chat box, but just to be on the safe side of life, I am providing it right now once again. Yes, so that everybody will have it. Do you have any? Does anybody have any problem with the certificate? No problem. Okay.
Vicky, excuse me.
Yes.
Okay, my name is Irene Zanikos. I live in Keratsini, Greece.
Okay, nice.
We're neighbors, kind of. Okay. I'd like to ask you something, Miss Vicky. Have you ever approached the publishers, the book publishers, so they can publish a lesson plan adjusted to children that have dyslexia? That's my question.
To tell you the truth, I have tried to publish my own material, and this is what is happening now. We are going to have a first pre-junior book. It is for the lowest levels, and we are going to have an A junior and B junior later. I haven't talked about that, but it would be very interesting if we have some lesson plans based on the multisensory way that can be adopted by different kind of teachers, by different kind of books. So it can be a more general material that it can be used.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else that you would like to ask? I will stop recording.